Here's a culture tip that will save you from romantic disaster. In America, walking up to someone and asking them out shows confidence. In Japan, that same move marks you as aggressive, desperate, or possibly unhinged. Welcome to the pursuit protocol, where making the first move can mean you're brave or you've completely misread the room.
All right, let's start with America, because we have this very specific script for how dating is supposed to begin.
Which is?
You see someone attractive, you walk up, you start a conversation, you ask for their number or suggest getting coffee. Direct, clear, no ambiguity about your intentions.
And that directness signals confidence.
Absolutely. Americans value that boldness. If you're interested, you make it known. Waiting around hoping the other person figures it out, that's seen as passive or insecure.
Very American.
Right? There's this Mexican exchange student, Sophia, who came to study in California. Back home, dating happened through elaborate friend groups and subtle hints. She arrives in LA, and this guy she'd been talking to for 2 weeks just asks her out, point blank, in the middle of campus.
Culture shock.
Total culture shock. She told me later she was mortified, like everyone around them could hear. In Mexico, these things happen quietly, privately, through intermediaries sometimes. But the American guy thought he was being respectful by being direct.
No mixed signals.
Exactly. Americans hate the "what are we" ambiguity. If you're interested, say so. If you're not, say that too. The cultural anxiety isn't about making the first move. It's about playing games or being unclear.
What about rejection, though?
Americans expect it as a possibility. You ask someone out, they might say no, and that's fine. It's not shameful to try. The embarrassment comes from being indirect, and then finding out the other person had no idea you were interested.
Whereas in Britain, we'd rather die than express interest directly.
Oh, I know. I had a British colleague who spent 6 months accidentally running into the same woman at the coffee shop before someone finally told him to just ask her out.
6 months is actually quite speedy by British standards.
The American approach eliminates that. 2 conversations in, you know where you stand.
Now, Japan takes the complete opposite approach.
How opposite?
In Japan, asking someone out directly, especially early on, is considered pushy, aggressive, even rude. The cultural ideal is that romantic interest develops gradually through group activities and subtle signals.
Group activities?
Yes, Japanese dating often starts in groups. You don't ask someone on a date. You suggest the whole friend group goes to karaoke or dinner. Over time, if there's mutual interest, you might end up pairing off naturally. But it's organic, not announced.
So there's no, would you like to get coffee sometime?
Not at first. That would be way too forward. There's a Japanese woman, Yuki, who worked in my company's Tokyo office. An American colleague asked her out after meeting her twice. She was genuinely uncomfortable. Not because she wasn't interested, but because he'd skipped all the expected steps.
What are the expected steps?
First, you establish friendship within a group context. Then, you might exchange line messages, their messaging app. You look for signs of reciprocal interest. Maybe months in, you might suggest doing something one-on-one, but even then it's framed casually, not as a date.
So the cultural misunderstandings must be brutal.
They're catastrophic. Americans think Japanese people are impossibly indirect. Japanese people think Americans are aggressive and socially tone-deaf. Both are just following their cultural scripts.
It's about risk distribution, isn't it? Americans put all the risk up front. Ask directly, face potential rejection. Japanese distribute risk over time through gradual escalation.
That's exactly it. In Japan, nobody loses face because nobody makes a bold move that could be rejected. Interest is revealed slowly enough that both people can back away gracefully if it's not reciprocal.
What happens when a Japanese person actually wants to express interest?
They use what's called kokuhaku, a formal confession, but it only happens after you're basically certain the other person likes you back. It's the final step, not the first one.
So by the time you confess, there's no actual confession happening.
Pretty much. The outcome is already known. It's about formalizing what's been building for weeks or months.
Here's what I find fascinating, though. It's not just about cultural norms. It's about what each culture fears most.
Go on.
Americans fear ambiguity and wasting time. What if you spend months in the friend zone because you never made your intentions clear? That's the nightmare scenario. So you risk rejection to avoid ambiguity.
And Japanese people fear public rejection and making others uncomfortable.
Exactly. The nightmare isn't wasting time. It's putting someone in an awkward position where they have to reject you to your face. That's social cruelty in their cultural framework.
French culture lands somewhere in the middle, doesn't it?
French flirting is its own art form. They're more direct than Japanese culture, but more subtle than American. There's an expectation that romantic interest is expressed through clever conversation, not blunt declarations.
Of course it is.
I had a French friend completely befuddled by American dating apps. Why are they asking, "What are you looking for? We've been talking for 5 minutes." To him, that directness killed any romantic possibility.
An Indian dating culture has its own complexities.
Oh, absolutely. In more traditional contexts, family involvement happens early. The idea of making the first move might involve asking someone's parents first, not the person themselves. Even in modern urban India, there's still this dance between Western-style dating and family expectations.
So what's the actual advice for international dating?
You have to explicitly discuss how pursuit works in each other's culture. Are you someone who needs direct verbal confirmation? Say that. Do you need time to build comfort before any romantic declaration? Explain that.
Otherwise, you're both following different rule books and wondering why the other person is so confusing.
So here's what this really comes down to. Americans see directness as respect. I'm not wasting your time or mine. Japanese see indirectness as respect. I'm not pressuring you or risking your social comfort.
And neither is actually wrong.
The misunderstanding happens when Americans interpret Japanese indirectness as disinterest, and Japanese interpret American directness as aggression.
Right. That Mexican student, Sophia, she eventually understood the American guy was trying to be respectful in his cultural framework. But in the moment, it felt pushy.
And that Japanese colleague, Yuki?
She later told her American friend that his approach would have worked better if he'd spent more time in group settings first. To him, that seemed inefficient. To her, it seemed like basic social courtesy.
The challenge is that both approaches have real wisdom.
They do. The American approach prevents months of misread signals. You know quickly where you stand. The Japanese approach prevents uncomfortable rejections and allows relationships to develop naturally.
But in cross-cultural dating, you need to create a third way.
Exactly. Maybe you keep the American clarity but add Japanese gradualism. I'm interested in getting to know you better. No pressure, but wanted to be clear about my intentions.
Sounds exhausting.
It is, but it beats the alternative of completely misreading each other's signals for months.
And really, that's the culture tip here. Your comfort level with directness isn't personality. It's programming.
When someone's approach feels too aggressive or too passive, they're probably just following their cultural script.
While you're following yours and wondering why everyone else is so peculiar.
Welcome to international dating, where even saying hello is complicated.
Thanks for watching this exploration of how cultures approach making the first move. If you've ever misread romantic signals across cultures, now you know why.
Next episode gets even more complicated. The commitment confusion. Because if asking someone out is tricky, wait until you try to figure out when you're actually exclusive. In America, you have to explicitly define it. In China, it's just assumed. Get that wrong, and you're in for a world of hurt.
If you're enjoying these culture tips on dating disasters, subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.
And if you've experienced your own pursuit protocol confusion, drop a comment. We love hearing your stories.
Until next time, may your first moves be culturally appropriate.
Or at least mutually understood.